When life breaks a man, it is not the end. It is the beginning of something new. Most people fear being broken, but what is broken has already passed through the test of fire. It has already known pain, despair, and defeat. And yet, if that man chooses to stand again, he does not stand as he once was. He stands wiser, sharper, and unshakable. Strength is not built when everything is easy. Strength is built when the ground beneath you is shattered, when you have nothing to hold on to, and still, you find within yourself the courage to rise. When a man is broken, the masks fall away. The illusions he once carried dissolve. He no longer seeks validation from the world. He seeks truth from within. That is why a man who rebuilds himself becomes dangerous not to others, but to the lies, the fears, and the limitations that once ruled him. Every scar he carries is not a mark of weakness but a mark of survival, a reminder that he did not give up, a reminder that he fell, but he refused to remain on the ground. The strongest sword is forged in fire, hammered again and again until it shines unbreakable. In the same way, a man who has been broken and rebuilt by life shines with a strength that no comfort, no luxury, no privilege could ever create. So if you have been broken, do not curse it. Do not hide from it. Allow it to shape you. Allow it to carve out the version of you that is beyond fear, beyond doubt. For nothing is stronger than a broken man who rebuilds himself. True strength is born not in comfort, but in the fire of being broken and rising again. Comfort never creates depth in a human being. When life flows smoothly, when every desire is met without resistance, a person may live pleasantly, but pleasantness alone never makes one unshakable. The sweetness of comfort is fragile. It disappears the moment circumstances turn against us. What we call strength does not come from a life without struggle. It comes from a life that has been tested, stretched, and pushed to its very edges. A man who has never known loss, who has never touched despair, may look successful on the outside, but within him there is an innocence that is easily shattered. The moment difficulty arrives, he begins to tremble, he begins to question everything. But a man who has walked through fire, who has been burned by disappointment, who has fallen into the depths of hopelessness and yet found a way to stand again, carries within him a solidity that cannot be given or taken away by the world. He does not merely act strong, he becomes strength itself. When you are broken, when life tears away everything you thought was certain, there is a raw moment of truth. You realize that all the illusions you built around yourself, your titles, your possessions, your opinions of who you are, none of it can hold you when the ground is collapsing. In that moment of nakedness, you touch what is real within you. Most people run from that moment. They drown themselves in distractions, they numb themselves in denial, they blame the world. But the one who looks straight into that abyss and refuses to turn away discovers an inner core that comfort could never reveal. Strength is not the absence of weakness. Strength is the direct experience of weakness, pain, and fragility, and still choosing to move forward. Think of the tree that grows in harsh winds. Every storm bends it, shakes it, and yet, because of the resistance it faces, its roots grow deeper, its trunk becomes harder, its branches learn how to sway without breaking. A tree sheltered from every wind may look tall, but the first storm can uproot it. In the same way, comfort creates appearance, but struggle creates essence. When life breaks you, it is like the hammer striking hot iron. In that fire, you either shatter or you become something new. Each strike, each wound is shaping you, removing what is weak, carving what is essential. Comfort never offers this. Comfort lulls you to sleep. It tells you lies that you are strong when really you are untested. Fire does not lie. Fire shows you exactly what you are made of, and if you dare to pass through it, you emerge unbreakable. The fire of being broken is not pleasant. It is not meant to be pleasant. It is raw, it is painful, it is filled with nights when you doubt whether you can take even one more step. But hidden inside that darkness is a possibility. You cannot find anywhere else the possibility of discovering that you are far more than the wounds you carry. Each time you rise with something new. You rise with resilience. You rise with clarity. You rise with a strength that comfort could never have planted in you. It is important to understand that rising again does not mean returning to who you were before. The man who has walked through fire is never the same as the man who entered it. He is leaner, sharper, freer from illusions. He no longer measures himself by the shallow yardsticks of the world. He has seen himself broken, and he has seen himself rebuild. From that point onward, his strength does not come from circumstances, but from within. He no longer depends on the ground beneath his feet, because he knows even if the ground collapses, he can rise again. This is why true strength is not about never falling. It is about what happens after you fall. Anyone can appear strong when life is easy. It is only in the depth of loss, in the silence of despair, in the chaos of failure, that strength reveals itself. If you can stand again when every reason to stand has been taken from you, then you are no longer just a survivor, you are the embodiment of strength itself. Fire transforms. It burns away what is false and reveals what is indestructible. The man who has been through fire does not boast of strength. He simply lives it. His presence speaks louder than his words. Others may see his scars and call them wounds, but he knows they are proof that he has walked through storms and returned stronger than before. This strength does not need recognition. It does not need applause. It simply is. True strength is born not in the arms of comfort, but in the heart of fire. It is born when life has broken you, when you have tasted the bitterness of despair, and when, against every odd, you choose to rise again. In that rising, something awakens that was asleep within you, something no comfort, no luxury, no ease could ever have given. That something is strength raw, unshakable, and eternal. Scars are not signs of weakness. They are proof of survival and transformation. Every scar, whether seen on the skin or hidden deep within the heart, tells a story that comfort could never write. People often try to conceal their scars as if they were something shameful, as if they were evidence of failure. But a scar is not a wound. A wound is raw, open, vulnerable. A scar is a wound that has closed, a wound that has healed, a wound that no longer bleeds. To carry a scar is to carry the memory of struggle and the proof of endurance. When life breaks a person, it leaves marks. These marks may not always be visible, but they shape who you are in ways that smooth, untouched lives can never understand. A scar shows that pain came, stayed, and passed. It shows that you did not remain broken. It shows that even in the face of destruction, something within you refused to surrender. To call a scar weakness is to misunderstand the nature of growth. Weakness is in the breaking, but strength is in the healing. The scar is the seal that says, "I endured." Consider the earth itself. Every mountain range is a scar upon the land, the result of tectonic plates colliding and reshaping the surface. Every canyon is a scar carved by rivers over thousands of years. Are these marks signs of weakness, or are they the proof of the earth's resilience, its capacity to transform force into beauty? In the same way, human scars are not disfigurements. They are landscapes of survival. They speak of storms weathered, of nights endured, of lessons learned in the hardest way possible. A person without scars has lived a sheltered life. They may have remained safe, untouched by hardship, but safety does not cultivate depth. It is only when we are cut open by life that we discover what lies beneath the surface. Scars are maps of where we have been. They are reminders of what we have overcome. They whisper quietly that we are no longer fragile, because we have already faced what we once feared. Scars also change our perception. They strip away arrogance. They humble us, but at the same time they fortify us. A man with scars does not laugh easily at another's suffering, for he knows what it means to bleed. He carries compassion not as an idea, but as an experience. He understands pain, and because he has survived his own, he becomes a refuge for others. This transformation is not something books can teach. It comes only from passing through the fire and coming out marked but alive. The scar also tells us something about time. Wounds are immediate, raw, and chaotic. Scars appear only with time, patience, and healing. They cannot be forced, they cannot be rushed. Just as a tree grows rings year by year, scars mark our seasons of growth. They show that the wound is not who we are forever. They remind us that pain can be integrated, that what once felt like an end becomes part of a larger story. There is an ancient beauty in scars. In some cultures, they were marks of honor, symbols of battles fought and survived. In nature, the strongest trees are not the ones without marks, but the ones with bark thickened and hardened by years of storms. The scar is not a decoration, but neither is it an imperfection. It is a record, a truth etched into the body or the soul, saying, "I did not remain in pieces. I have remade myself." Transformation is never clean. It is never soft. It is the process of being undone and remade. The scar is the visible reminder of this remaking. It is the bridge between what was broken and what is whole again. Without scars, there is no transformation, only avoidance. But where scars exist, they testify that healing has happened. They tell us that the past did not destroy us, but shaped us into something different. To embrace one's scars is to embrace one's journey. It is to stop pretending that life has been flawless and to honor the reality that flaws are the very texture of growth. Each scar is a conversation between pain and resilience. It is the mark left behind when resilience has spoken louder. When we look at scars this way, we stop seeing them as signs of imperfection and begin to see them as emblems of survival, as witnesses to the fact that we have been through the storm and are still standing. A scar is not weakness. A scar is strength made visible. It is the skin or the soul's way of saying, "I have been hurt, but I am here." It is the proof that what could have broken you completely did not succeed. It is the reminder that even when torn apart, the body and the spirit have the intelligence to mend. It is the signature of survival, written not in ink but in flesh, memory, and being. It is transformation, etched into who you are, never to be erased, never to be denied. Nothing is stronger than a man who rebuilds himself beyond fear and limitation. Fear and limitation are not enemies outside of us. They are boundaries drawn within. They whisper constantly, shaping the way we see the world, convincing us that we are smaller than we truly are. When a man is whole and untouched by hardship, he may still believe in those whispers. He may still be held back by invisible chains. But when life breaks him and he begins the journey of rebuilding, he no longer has the luxury of living under illusions. He must face fear directly, because only in facing it can he move forward. To rebuild oneself is not to put the pieces back as they were before. It is to take what remains and create something entirely new, something that has shed the weight of old fears and the prison of old limitations. A man who has been broken knows the fragility of life. He knows how quickly the things he clung to can vanish. In this knowing, he finds a strange freedom. He no longer trembles at the thought of losing because he has already lost. He no longer hides from failure because he has already fallen. Fear has less power over one who has already walked through its shadow. Limitations exist mostly in the mind. They are the lines we draw around ourselves, often without questioning why. We tell ourselves what we can and cannot do, who we can and cannot be. A man who has been broken has already seen those lines collapse. What he thought he could not endure, he endured. What he thought would destroy him, he survived. In rebuilding, he discovers that many of the boundaries he once believed in were illusions. This discovery is power. It is the strength that comes from realizing that the cage was never locked, that the walls were thinner than they appeared. The process of rebuilding is slow and demanding. It requires patience, it requires humility, And above all, it requires courage. At first, the pieces do not fit. At first, the weight feels unbearable. But with every step, the man learns. He learns that his strength does not come from never breaking, but from choosing to rise every time he does. Each attempt at rebuilding chisels away at fear. Each step forward expands the space beyond limitation. What once seemed impossible becomes part of his new foundation. When such a man walks through the world, he carries a presence that is unmistakable. He does not speak loudly about his strength, because he does not need to. His strength is woven into his silence, into his steady gaze, into the way he stands when others crumble. He does not seek to prove himself, because his very existence after being broken is proof enough. He has confronted fear, he has dissolved limitation, and in doing so he has touched a part of himself that is indestructible. It is easy to admire strength that comes from victory, but victory without struggle is fragile. True strength is born in rebuilding, in the refusal to remain shattered. The man who rises from his own ashes does not simply live, he lives beyond fear, beyond the walls of limitation. He becomes unbound, unshakable, because he knows that nothing the world throws at him is greater than what he has already endured. He does not need the approval of others, nor does he bend to their doubts. His strength is self-made, and therefore it cannot be taken away. This strength is not about domination. It is not about standing over others. It is the strength of self-mastery. To rebuild oneself beyond fear is to take command of one's own mind, to no longer allow the voice of limitation to dictate the course of life. It is to become vast, to move with the freedom of someone who has nothing left to lose and everything left to create. This is the kind of strength that cannot be shaken by circumstance, because it is not rooted in circumstance. It is rooted in the unyielding choice to rise. Nothing in this world compares to the power of that choice. Nothing compares to the force of a man who has faced the ruins of his own life, who has seen himself stripped of illusions, who has stood in the silence of fear and still chosen to move. Such a man is no longer confined. He has become larger than his wounds, greater than his losses, freer than his past. He is the living embodiment of strength, not the strength that avoids breaking, but the strength that is born from breaking and rebuilding beyond fear and limitation.